In a world where everyone is fighting to be heard, the most powerful move you can make is to stay silent. Silence unsettles people. It makes them curious. It makes them pay attention. When you stop chasing to prove yourself, when you stop filling the air with unnecessary words, you shift the balance of power. Because silence is not emptiness, it is control. And when you learn to master it, everything you want will begin to fall into place naturally, without force, without noise. Silence is power, not weakness. Most people misunderstand this. They think silence means you've got nothing to say, that maybe you're unsure or unprepared. But the truth is, silence is a form of dominance. It's control. When you walk into a room and you don't rush to fill the air, people start to wonder. They start to study you. They want to know what you're thinking. And in that moment, you already hold the upper hand. Because power doesn't come from talking more. It comes from knowing when to hold back. Think about the people you respect most. They're not the ones who are constantly loud, constantly trying to prove a point. They're the ones who speak less but carry weight when they finally do. Silence sharpens your presence. It allows you to observe the dynamics around you, to see who's nervous, who's confident, who's bluffing. You notice the small details that others miss because they're too busy talking, and those details give you an advantage that only silence can provide. When you choose silence, you're not giving up ground, you're claiming it. People often mistake noise for strength, but noise is usually insecurity dressed up as confidence. Real confidence doesn't need to announce itself. It doesn't need to prove anything. It's calm, it's measured, and it doesn't react to every little thing. Silence sends a message that says, I don't need to compete with you. I don't need to chase your approval. I know my worth, and I'm not in a hurry to prove it. The most dangerous person in any room is rarely the loudest. It's the quiet one, the one who doesn't reveal too much, the one who watches, the one who holds their emotions in check. Silence is a shield. It protects you from saying what doesn't need to be said. It keeps you from revealing your vulnerabilities before it's time. And when you finally decide to speak, your words land with impact because they are chosen, not spilled out carelessly. That's why silence makes you powerful. It amplifies your voice when you finally choose to use it. Power isn't about controlling others. It's about controlling yourself. And silence is self-control in its purest form. Anyone can talk. Anyone can argue. But it takes real strength to stay quiet, to observe, to decide when the right moment has come. Silence allows you to lead from a place of calm authority instead of frantic noise. And once you understand this, once you practice it, you'll find that silence doesn't make you invisible. It makes you unforgettable. Silence makes you dangerous, not because you are hiding something, but because you are not giving away everything. In a world where people constantly broadcast their every move, their every thought, their every feeling, the one who holds back becomes unpredictable. And unpredictability is power. When others can't figure you out, they respect you, they fear you, and they watch you more closely. The less you reveal, the more people imagine. And often, their imagination paints you as someone stronger, smarter, and more capable than you even need to say out loud. Think about it. The person who talks endlessly about their plans, their goals, their strategies, they've already shown their cards. You know exactly where they're heading. You can prepare for them, even stop them if you want. But the silent one, you don't know what they're thinking. You don't know when they'll move or how they'll act. And that uncertainty is what makes them powerful, because the unknown always carries more weight than what is obvious. The unknown keeps people on edge, and silence is how you create that edge. Danger doesn't always come from aggression. It often comes from restraint. The loudest person in the room is usually the weakest, because their need to be heard gives them away. But the one who remains quiet, composed, and measured, people sense something in them. They sense control. They sense patience. They sense that you don't need to prove yourself because you already know who you are. That kind of energy makes others cautious around you. It makes them think twice before underestimating you, because silence leaves them guessing, and guessing always creates hesitation. When you are silent, you are not just withholding words, you are conserving energy. You are choosing not to fight every battle, not to engage in every meaningless argument, and that energy builds up inside you like a reservoir. When you finally decide to act, that action carries far more weight, far more impact, because it comes after patience, after calculation. Silence makes your moves deliberate instead of desperate, and when your actions are deliberate, they strike with precision. That precision is what makes silence so dangerous. But here's the truth. Silence doesn't mean passivity. It doesn't mean doing nothing. It means you're watching. It means you're learning. It means you're calculating the right time to strike. People who live in constant noise can't do that. They are too busy reacting. They give away their emotions, their weaknesses, their plans. Silence, on the other hand, protects you. It conceals what others don't need to know. It keeps you 2 steps ahead. Because you're not just reacting to the world, you're studying it, and when the right moment comes, you act with strength that no one saw coming. So yes, silence makes you dangerous. Not because you are aggressive, not because you are loud, but because you are unshaken. You are unreadable. You are patient, and patience, combined with restraint, creates a kind of strength that the world cannot ignore. When people don't know what you'll do next, they tread carefully. They respect you. They remember you. And they understand, without you ever having to say a word, that you are not to be underestimated. Observe more, react less. That is the discipline most people never master, and it's why they keep falling into the same traps over and over. The instinct to respond instantly, to defend ourselves, to jump into every conversation. It feels natural, but it blinds us. When you react without thinking, you hand over control to the situation, to the other person, to your own emotions. But when you pause, when you hold back, when you choose silence, you begin to see the things most people miss. Observation opens doors that noise will always close. The truth is, people will always reveal themselves if you give them enough space. They'll tell you their fears, their insecurities, their intentions, sometimes without even realizing it. But you won't notice if you're too busy filling the air with your own words. Silence gives you the chance to watch patterns. You notice the way someone avoids eye contact when they lie. You see the way they change tone when they feel insecure. You pick up on the details of human behavior that others are too distracted to see. And those small details are the keys to understanding people. When you observe more, you begin to understand that most people aren't as complicated as they appear. They are driven by basic emotions: fear, pride, insecurity, ego, desire. And when you see those things clearly, you stop wasting energy reacting to every little thing they say or do. You learn to separate what is noise from what is real. You learn that not every comment deserves a reply, not every insult needs a defense, not every opportunity is worth chasing. This clarity comes only when you give yourself permission to stay silent and watch. Reacting less does not mean you are weak. In fact, it's the opposite. Anyone can explode in anger. Anyone can rush into an argument. That takes no strength at all. What takes strength is restraint. What takes strength is waiting, letting things unfold, and only stepping in when the moment truly demands it. Because when you do react, it's not random, it's calculated. And calculated action always carries more weight than impulsive noise. People respect the one who knows when to move and when to hold back, because that balance is rare. Silence doesn't mean you're disconnected. It doesn't mean you're cold. It means you're gathering information. It means you're playing the long game, and the long game always wins. Life is full of people trying to get reactions out of you. They'll push your buttons, test your patience, try to make you act on impulse. But when you observe instead of react, you disarm them. You refuse to give them control over your emotions. You remain centered, calm, and focused. That's how you win battles without ever lifting your voice. So observe more, react less. Let people talk. Let them show their hand. Let them reveal their truth. While they're busy exposing themselves, you're conserving your strength. building your awareness, sharpening your understanding, and when the time comes to act, you'll do so with precision, with clarity, and with power. Because silence isn't about doing nothing, it's about preparing yourself to do the right thing at the right moment with impact that no one can ignore. Control your emotions through silence. That is one of the hardest skills you will ever learn because emotions are loud. They demand release. Anger wants to be shouted. Fear wants to be confessed. Ego wants to be displayed. But when you train yourself to hold back, when you give yourself space before you respond, you discover that silence can protect you from your own impulses. Words spoken in anger can destroy trust. Words spoken in fear can weaken your position. Words spoken too quickly can never be taken back. Silence, on the other hand, gives you a shield. It gives you a pause, a moment to breathe, to think, and to take back control. Most people lose battles not because they lacked the ability, but because they lost their composure. They said something they shouldn't have. They revealed too much too soon. They reacted before thinking. And once those words are out, once those emotions are unleashed, you can't rewind them. But silence, that pause, gives you time. Time to cool down, time to observe, time to ask yourself, is this worth it? Do I need to respond right now? Will these words add value, or will they take something away from me? More often than not, you'll find the silence saves you from regret. Think about the last time you lost your temper. In that moment, you thought your anger was strength. You thought raising your voice gave you power. But after, when the fire burned out, you realized what it really cost you: your calm, your influence, maybe even your dignity. Strength is not in letting your emotions control you. Strength is in controlling them. Silence is the practice that builds that discipline. It teaches you that not every feeling deserves expression. Not every thought needs to leave your mouth. Not every provocation deserves a reply. Silence is not suppression. It's strategy. It doesn't mean you bury what you feel. It means you choose when and how to release it. Because the right emotion, expressed at the right time, has impact. The wrong emotion, expressed at the wrong time, causes damage. Silence is the filter between those two. It's the mechanism that separates impulse from intention. It's how you ensure your words are not just reactions, but deliberate choices. And deliberate choices always build more respect than impulsive outbursts. There's also power in letting people underestimate you because of your silence. When someone tries to provoke you, they expect noise. They expect you to fire back, to defend yourself, to prove them wrong. When you give them nothing, they lose control. They can't feed off your energy. They can't pull you into their chaos. Instead, your silence forces them to confront their own words. It exposes their weakness while protecting your strength. That is how silence keeps you in command of situations that would otherwise spiral out of control. So, when emotions rise, choose silence first. Let yourself breathe. Let the moment pass through you without rushing to react. You'll find that what once felt urgent often wasn't. You'll find that silence gave you clarity, and that clarity gave you power. Words can be weapons, but silence is armor. It shields you from regret, from mistakes, from the chaos of your own emotions. And when you finally do decide to speak, your voice will not be shaky with anger or clouded by fear. It will be steady, measured, and impossible to ignore. Silence builds authority. The person who speaks less but with intention will always hold more weight than the one who fills every space with noise. Think about the last time you were in a room where someone kept talking just to be heard. After a while, their words started to lose meaning. They may have been loud, they may have dominated the space with sound, but they didn't truly command respect. Contrast that with the person who waited, who spoke only when it mattered. The entire room leaned in. Every word felt sharper, heavier, more significant. That's the authority silence creates. Authority is not about volume. It's about presence. You don't gain respect by being the loudest voice in the room. You gain it by being the one people listen to. And people listen more carefully to those who don't waste words. When you choose silence, when you hold your ground without rushing to prove yourself, you establish a sense of strength. You show that you don't need constant validation. You don't need to dominate the conversation to matter. Your confidence speaks for you, and that quiet confidence is what people remember. Look at leaders, mentors, or people you admire. They don't speak every second. They don't chase attention. They wait for the right moment, and when they choose to speak, people stop what they're doing and pay attention. That is authority. Not forced, not begged for, but earned through restraint. Their silence is not absence. It's a statement. It says, I don't need to compete with the noise, because when I speak, it will be worth listening to. And people respect that. They remember that. It makes your voice carry farther than shouting ever could. Silence also shows you're in control of yourself. Authority begins with self-mastery. If you can't manage your own need to always be heard, you'll never inspire true respect from others. When you are comfortable with silence, you're saying to the world, I am not desperate for attention. I am not insecure about my value. I can stand still, I can wait, and I can let others rush while I stay composed. That calm composure is magnetic. People trust it, they follow it. Because authority is not in noise, it's in stillness that cannot be shaken. There's another truth here. Silence makes people curious. When you don't say everything, when you don't explain yourself constantly, people lean in. They wonder what you're thinking, what you know, what you're waiting for. That curiosity gives your presence weight. It makes people take you more seriously because they understand you're not giving yourself away cheaply. Authority isn't about being available every second. It's about being intentional. And silence is the tool that creates that intention. So the next time you're in a room, resist the urge to fill every gap with words. Let silence work for you. Let it shape how people perceive you. Speak less, but when you do speak, make it matter. You'll notice something powerful. People listen more carefully. They respect you more deeply, and they remember your words long after the noise has faded. Because true authority doesn't come from talking more. It comes from talking less and letting silence do the work of amplifying your presence. Silence commands attention. People are naturally drawn to what they can't easily access, and silence creates that pull. When you're quiet in a world full of noise, you stand out. Everyone is rushing to be heard, to prove themselves, to take up space. But when you hold back, when you choose stillness, you interrupt the pattern, you break the expectation, and suddenly, all eyes turn toward you. Because silence is rare, and whatever is rare instantly becomes valuable. Think about how the room shifts when someone who rarely speaks finally opens their mouth. The chatter quiets down. People lean in. They want to hear because they know it won't be wasted words. That's the kind of attention silence earns you. It's not forced. It's not begged for. It's commanded. And it carries more weight than volume ever could. Noise demands a moment of acknowledgement, but silence followed by measured words creates lasting impact. People forget what the loudest person said, but they remember the quiet one who spoke with precision. Attention is not something you get by shouting. It's something you earn by creating contrast. When everyone else is rushing to fill the air, your silence becomes striking. It unsettles people. It makes them wonder what's on your mind. It makes them wait. And the longer they wait, the more powerful your eventual words become. By the time you finally speak, the room is already yours. They've already given you their focus before you've even said a single thing. That is the power of silence. Silence also teaches people to respect your words. If you talk endlessly, people stop valuing what you say. But if you speak less, if you choose your moments carefully, every sentence feels important. Your silence sets a standard. It tells people that when you do decide to break it, it's for something worth hearing. That standard commands not only attention, but respect. And respect is far more valuable than temporary noise. Sometimes commanding attention isn't about dominating the space, it's about controlling the rhythm. Silence slows things down. It forces people to pause. It creates a gap that others feel the need to fill, but you don't rush. You let the silence do the work for you. And in that gap, you gain control of the room. Because the one who controls the pace always controls the attention. And silence is the tool that shifts that pace in your favor. So remember this: the less you speak, the more people listen. Don't waste your words trying to be noticed. Let your silence set the stage so that when you finally do speak, your voice carries beyond the moment. Because silence doesn't just make people pay attention, it makes them value your attention. And once you have that, you don't just hold their ears, you hold their respect. That is how silence commands attention, without you ever needing to raise your voice. Let nature work for you. Life has its own rhythm, its own flow, and when you fight against it, you exhaust yourself. We live in a world that glorifies forcing things, chasing harder, pushing faster, as if the only way to win is by constant struggle. But the truth is, when you let silence guide you, you learn to align yourself with the natural order of things. You stop forcing outcomes, and instead, you allow them to unfold in their time. And what you'll realize is that the things meant for you don't require desperation. They require patience. Think about a river. It doesn't rush in straight lines. It bends, it curves, it flows around obstacles. It doesn't fight the rock in its way, it simply moves around it. And yet, over time, the river shapes entire landscapes. That's what happens when you let nature work for you. Silence teaches you this patience. Instead of reacting to every obstacle, you learn to pause, observe, and flow around it. You stop wasting energy on resistance and start using your energy to move with purpose. That is how you grow stronger, not by force, but by alignment. When you are silent, you begin to hear what others can't. You hear the subtle timing of life. You notice when a door is about to open, when an opportunity is presenting itself, when the right moment is close. But if you're always rushing, always filling the air with your own noise, you'll miss those signals. Silence sharpens your awareness of the rhythm of life. It tells you when to wait and when to act. It keeps you from jumping too early or forcing something that isn't ready to happen. There's power in not rushing. So many people sabotage themselves by demanding instant results. They plant a seed today and expect a tree tomorrow, but growth doesn't work that way. Nature doesn't work that way. Silence teaches you to trust the process, to trust that what you've planted will grow if you give it time and nurture it. And just like in nature, forcing things before their time only breaks them. Letting them unfold naturally, however, gives them strength, stability, and longevity. When you embrace silence, you realize that opportunities are not something you need to chase endlessly. They come to those who are prepared and patient. Your job is not to scream at the world demanding results. It's to stay ready, stay observant, and let the flow of life bring what is meant for you. And when it does, you'll be strong enough, clear enough, and focused enough to seize it. That is how silence works with nature, not against it. It makes you patient enough to wait and wise enough to recognize the right moment when it arrives. So let nature work for you. Trust the flow. Don't rush the process. Don't force what isn't ready. Stay silent, stay grounded, and allow life to move in its rhythm. Because when you stop pushing against the current and instead flow with it, you'll find that everything meant for you comes naturally, without struggle, without desperation, and without you ever having to chase it. Silence protects your energy. Every time you choose to speak, every time you choose to react, you are spending energy. And energy is not limitless. Most people drain themselves not because of the big battles in life, but because they waste their strength on small, meaningless ones. They argue over things that don't matter. They defend themselves against opinions that hold no weight. They engage with people who were never worth their time to begin with. Silence is how you stop that constant leak. It is how you preserve your strength for the moments that truly demand it. Think about how many times you've walked away from a pointless argument feeling exhausted. It didn't change anything, it didn't improve your life, and yet it drained you. That's what happens when you hand your energy to every passing distraction. Silence is your filter. It allows you to ask yourself, is this worth my words? Does this deserve my time? Or am I just giving away pieces of myself for nothing? When you stay silent, you keep that energy. You keep it for your goals, for your growth, for the battles that will actually shape your future. There is strength in restraint. People will try to provoke you, to pull you into their chaos, to feed off your reactions. The louder you get, the more they win. But when you give them nothing, no words, no reactions, no emotion, you protect yourself. They can't drain what you don't give. Your silence becomes your shield. It keeps you steady while they waste their own energy trying to get to you. And eventually, they burn out, while you remain composed, still holding all of your strength. Preserving your energy doesn't mean avoiding life. It means choosing wisely where you spend it. Silence gives you that choice. You begin to see that not every comment needs an answer. Not every insult deserves a defense. Not every situation requires your involvement. Sometimes the most powerful move you can make is to say nothing at all, to walk away with your peace intact. Because silence doesn't just protect your energy in that moment, it protects your focus, your clarity, and your long-term strength. Your words are an extension of your energy. If you give them to anyone and everyone, they lose value. But when you use them sparingly, when you guard them carefully, they become powerful. People listen more closely because they know you don't waste your voice on nonsense. That alone protects you, because it ensures that the energy you do spend carries impact. Silence keeps you from scattering yourself thin. It keeps you concentrated, centered, and prepared for the moments that truly matter. So let silence protect your energy. Don't give yourself away to noise that doesn't deserve you. Save your strength for the things that build you, for the challenges that push you forward, for the people and opportunities that truly matter. Not every battle needs to be fought. Not every word needs to be spoken. When you understand this, you stop living exhausted, and you start living powerful. Because silence is not just peace. It is protection. And it guards the energy you need to build the life you want. Silence creates clarity. In a world overflowing with noise, with constant opinions, notifications, arguments, and distractions, most people can't even hear themselves think. They are drowning in the voices of others, losing sight of their own truth. But when you allow yourself to step back and stay silent, something powerful happens. The chaos begins to fade. The distractions begin to fall away. And in that stillness, you begin to hear what really matters. You begin to hear yourself. Clarity doesn't come from doing more, from running faster, or from listening to every voice around you. It comes from pausing, from giving yourself the space to filter out what is irrelevant so you can focus on what is real. Silence acts like a mirror. It reflects back to you the thoughts, the emotions, the truths that get lost in all the noise of daily life. When you stop filling every second with sound, you finally create room to see things for what they are, instead of what the world tells you they should be. Most people make poor decisions not because they don't have the ability, but because they don't have clarity. They rush, they react, they let pressure and noise dictate their choices. But silence gives you a different kind of power. It gives you perspective. In silence, you can weigh what is important and what is not. You can ask yourself if the fight is worth it, if the goal is yours or someone else's, if the path you're walking is actually the one meant for you. Silence strips away illusions. It shows you the truth that was always there, hidden under all the noise. Clarity is freedom. It frees you from reacting to every distraction. It frees you from chasing what doesn't belong to you. It frees you from the pressure to compete with everyone else. But you cannot find clarity if you are always speaking, always reacting, always consumed with noise. You find it when you choose to hold back, when you give yourself permission to simply sit in silence. At first, silence can feel uncomfortable, even heavy, but with time, it becomes the clearest voice in the room. Silence also reveals people. When you stay quiet long enough, you begin to see who is real and who is not. You see who speaks with substance and who speaks only for attention. You see whose words match their actions and whose do not. Silence creates space for the truth to surface, because without your voice filling the air, theirs is exposed. And once you see people clearly, you know who to trust, who to walk with, and who to walk away from. So let silence create clarity in your life. Don't be afraid of it. Don't run from it. Step into it and use it. Because in silence, your vision sharpens, your priorities align, your truth becomes louder than the world's noise. And once you have that clarity, no one can confuse you, distract you, or pull you off your path. Silence shows you the way forward, not by giving you more noise, but by cutting through it until only the truth remains. Speak with intention, not impulse. Too often, we let words slip out before they're ready, before we've thought them through, and once they're out, they can't be taken back. Words can heal, but they can also harm. They can build trust, but they can also destroy it in seconds. That is why silence is so powerful, because it gives you the time to separate what is reaction from what is truth. When you wait, when you choose not to speak immediately, you give yourself the chance to craft words that carry weight instead of regret. Impulsive speech comes from ego. It comes from the need to prove, to defend, to react. But intentional speech comes from strength. It's controlled, measured, and purposeful. When you speak with intention, people don't just hear you, they feel the thought behind your words. They sense the discipline, they sense the clarity, and that makes your message impossible to ignore. People are moved not by endless chatter, but by words that strike with precision, and precision comes only when you choose silence first. Think about how many conflicts could have been avoided if someone had paused before speaking. One sentence, said in anger, can create a lifetime of distance. One careless comment can close doors that will never open again. But the opposite is also true. One thoughtful phrase, spoken at the right time, can change everything. It can inspire someone to keep going. It can rebuild trust. It can spark a new beginning. That's the difference between impulse and intention. Impulse destroys. Intention builds. Speaking with intention also means understanding that not everything needs to be said. Silence itself can be a message. Sometimes the strongest thing you can say is nothing at all. People often feel pressured to fill the space, to answer every question, to explain every detail. But when you hold back, when you speak only what is necessary, your words become valuable. They are no longer background noise. They are signals, sharp and clear, cutting through the chaos. That scarcity makes people listen more carefully because they know you don't waste your voice. The truth is, your words are your legacy. Long after you leave a room, people won't remember everything you did, but they will remember how your words made them feel. Did they inspire? Did they wound? Did they create trust? Or did they break it? Speaking with intention means taking responsibility for that impact. It means choosing to use your voice as a tool for clarity, for influence, for strength, not as an outlet for every fleeting emotion. So don't let your words be impulsive. Let them be deliberate. Let them come from silence, from thought, from purpose. Say less, but make it matter. When you finally decide to speak, make your words impossible to forget. Because in a world full of noise, intentional voices stand out. They echo longer, they reach deeper, and they remind people that silence, followed by the right words at the right time, is one of the most powerful forces you can ever wield.